Welcome back, everybody. This is Modern Randy. I am Randy, and today we're talking about Pioneer yet again. As always, guys, if you like what you're seeing, you like what I'm doing, go ahead and leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with everything that I'm doing, and let me know what you guys think is going to be the breakout deck here in coming up in DC for the RC. Love to hear you guys' thoughts and what you guys are thinking. But today I'm talking about another breakout deck that has started to gain some traction, started getting a little bit of popularity. It's the red right mid-range deck that has been running around. This time it was running around with High Noon and Possibility Storm as kind of like a two-card combo to shut your opponent out of the game and make it to where they can't do anything. So let's kind of break down this deck and what it's doing and why Caretaker's talent is probably super busted. So going over the deck real quick, we are running 25 lands, which is a lot for a mid-range deck, essentially. But we have 3 Field of Ruins, we're running 3 Fountain Port, 1 Ganjo, 1 Castle, 1 Sokuzan, and then 4 Sunken Citadel. To kind of help, make these more playable, make these more usable, essentially. Fountain Port has definitely been a card I didn't think was going to be that great, and it has been amazing. Being able to sacrifice a token to draw a card is huge. Just being able to eat one of like our random 1/1s we have, eating a treasure token, even just being able to draw that extra card is amazing. Being able to pay 1 life's not that great, but being able to make a fish token, a blue fish token, at the end of turn, trigger Caretaker's talent on my opponent's turn. Being able to draw multiple cards a turn is essentially huge. So definitely a lot better than I gave it credit for, and a lot more explosive than I thought it would be. Going over our removal suite here, we're running 2 Marches of the Otherworldly Light. We're running 4 Torch of the Tower, basically there for any of the low ground creature decks. I know there's a bunch of different little aggro decks running around. Card's been great, also great against Phoenix, being able just to answer Phoenix and be done with it. 2 Get Lost is another just catch all, and then 3 Sunfall as our removal, our board wipe of choice, because it just answers everything. Nice little suite here. I will say, after playing some, I would kind of like to put the 4 Sunfall somewhere in the 75. That is something I was missing when I was playing the deck. Our 2-drop value card essentially is this Carrot Cake. It's not anything super great. It is a artifact food. It's 1 and a white. When it enters, you enters or sacrifice it, or when you sacrifice it, you get to create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token, and you can scry 1, and then you can pay 2, tap, sacrifice it, gain 3 life. Notably, you can also sacrifice it to Torch the Tower to get the bargain cost going on. You still get your 1/1 token. It's kind of a huge deal. It's come up a couple times where it helps trigger Caretaker's talent, kill that X3 creature. Not too bad overall. We're playing 4 Fable. I don't really need to go over why this card's good. If you don't know why it's good, look at Magic's history since this card's been printed. And then we're playing 4 Caretaker's Talent. This card is something that I didn't think was that good. When I first read it, I was like, alright, yeah, this seems, okay, whatever. I didn't think it was going to be anything broken, didn't think it'd be anything amazing. The card's really, really fucking good. To the point that, I did not think it was going to be as good as it is. So, it's 3 mana for a enchantment class. It has whenever 1 or more tokens enter the battle, or, sorry, 1 or more tokens you control enter, draw a card, triggers really only once each turn. So notably, that's any token at all. So there is a couple different ways to make the other tokens in this deck, like the treasure tokens, things like that from the Fable and stuff like that. That triggers this as well, which is huge. I didn't think of that off the top of my head when I first played this deck. Second one, we can level up from 1 white. We get to then create a token that's a copy of another token you control. So you can make a Wandering Emperor token copy. You get to make a Fable token copy. You get to make a 1/1 rabbit, whatever you have out, which is huge because it helps you. For 1 mana, you can just draw essentially another card, and then for 4 mana, we can level it up again, and then creature tokens you control get +2/+2. This doesn't come up that often. I definitely should have leveled this up more times than I did throughout my leagues and stuff playing with this deck. But you can just kill people straight up out of nowhere with this card. It's honestly unreal how much power that gives you. With the deck. But Caretaker's Talent has definitely been an all-star card. I see why this is seeing play in Standard for sure. I see why this is seeing play in this deck. Honestly, this deck was super fun and resilient. It's almost crazy how good it was. Then in our 4-drop shop, we're playing 4 Emperors, because why not? She's a great card. Flash, being able to, remove creatures at instant speed, making a samurai token at the end of turn is also pretty crazy when you have Caretaker's Talent out, being able to go, Caretaker's Talent on 3, pass the turn, just leave up removal, leave up activations for your fountain ports, things like that, and then when your opponent does nothing, or when they attack in, we get to, flash in Wandering Emperor, eat their creature, or we get to just go ahead and turn Wandering Emperor, make a 2/2, triggers Caretaker's Talent, draw a card. It just kind of makes like this endless possibility of things that we can do. Just a solid 4-drop. And then our other one is the new Zia. I'm sure I'm not mispronouncing that. The Bounding Spring. It's a 4-mana legendary creature, Elemental Elk, 4/5. And then when it enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. If your opponent controls more lands than you gain 4 life. If an opponent has more life than you create 2 1/1 blue fish creature tokens. If an opponent has more creatures than you draw a card. If an opponent has more cards in hand than you. This card is super good. 90% of the time, we're gaining 4 life, we're making 2 1/1s, and we're drawing a card when it comes to the play because of Caretaker's Talent. That being said, I have made a couple treasure tokens throughout the matches that I've played with this deck. It doesn't happen that often. You're running 25 lands, so you're almost always hitting your land drops. It's very rare for you to miss your land drop with this deck. But most of the time, we're gaining 4 life, we're making 2 fishes. We're getting a 4/5 into play. We're drawing a card because we played Caretaker's Talent on 3, and it just is amazing value. I can't speak more highly of this card if I tried. It's exactly what I thought would happen with this card. I thought this card would be great in blue-white control. I thought this card was going to see a lot of play in. Turns out that Caretaker's Talent means that we're just going to play red-white control, and it's going to be amazing. So, moving on to like the combo portion of this deck, essentially. So, we're running 4 High Noon, which is a card people thought was going to be a great sideboard card for sure. Having played High Noon, it is a pain in the ass to watch your this card is amazing in the meta as it stands right now. We have a bunch of low to the ground decks that want to do things. They can't because High Noon just stops them. I played against Convoke in my league, and I slammed this on 2, and I literally won me the game because it could no longer double spell. Them not being able to double spell just slows them down so much. Same thing with the aggro decks, is not being able to double spell slows them down so much. Like, this deck is perfectly fine if we cast 1 spell a turn. Because we have our lands to use, we have Carrot Cake to sacrifice, we have Caretaker's Talent to activate, we have all these things that we can do. Same thing with like we play our removal spells, we play a spell at our turn, then have a removal spell up on their opponent's turn. All those type of things. High Noon is just great for this deck, and it slows your opponent down and just kind of stops them out of the game. It's ridiculous how well this is. It's just a pain in the ass for your opponent to deal with. And more importantly, it's a spell. It's something they have to remove to play the game correctly for like their game plan. And it just means that they're not removing your Caretaker's Talent or your Fable or your Wandering Emperor. They're focusing on something useless, essentially. And it also has the benefit of, we can pay 5 mana to deal 5 damage to any target. So, nice little extra bonus damage here at the end. But if we play High Noon and then we play Possibility Storm, this essentially locks both players out from playing any cards for the rest of the game. So Possibility Storm is a 5 mana enchantment that has whatever player casts a spell from their hand, that player exiles it, then exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a card that shares a card type with it. That player may cast that card without playing its mana costs, then put all exiled cards with Possibility Storm on the bottom of the owner's library in a random order. So, we play High Noon, we play Possibility Storm, our opponent goes to play anything, doesn't matter. They go to play, a Carrot Cake on their turn. High Noon, or Possibility Storm triggers, they exile, they can't cast that card now because they've already cast the 1 spell, being the original Carrot Cake. So now, it just locks us out of the game. Now, why that's important is we can get ourselves into a very easy position where we're just making, tokens with Fountain Port or with our castle, or we already have a Fable out. We can already have like a Wandering Emperor on the board, and then play this, and then we locked them out of the game, but we still are making tokens. We probably have a Caretaker's Talent already. Eventually, we're going to get to our token to have +2/+2, and it just locks people out of the game, and it's a very, very great way, and it's a little like kind of sneaky way to just kind of end the game out of nowhere. I only did this once in the league I played. I did it against Angels round 1, game 1. It was kind of funny. I ended up, I sunfalled them. I had a Wandering Emperor going. I sunfalled them, and then next turn I slammed Possibility Storm and they conceded because they could no longer play the game. and I have a Wandering Emperor plus my Sunfall incubate token, whatever you want to call it. So we were just going to win the game through beatdowns with them at, I think, 67 life anyway. So great little deck. I really love this deck. It's way better than it looks like on paper, because when I definitely picked this deck up and I was like, well, gain some steam, it's kind of interesting, let's see if it's good. I also thought that Caretaker's Talent was a trash card. I was 100% wrong. Caretaker's Talent is way better than I thought it was ever going to be. 1000% better than I thought it was going to be. I'm sure anyone who's played Standard or whatever is just looking at me going, yeah, dumbass, it's amazing in Standard. I don't know why you thought it would also wouldn't be good here. But yeah, deck is amazing. I love it. It has enough removal and stuff. Like I said, the biggest thing I would change right now, and at least in the main, is I probably try to find a spot to put the 4th Sunfall. I just think that Sunfall's something you want to have on 4 or on 5 every time, and that's the only thing I really want to change with this list as it stands right now. Otherwise, love the 60 for sure. Great deck list as a whole. Moving over to the sideboard here, I did just copy and paste the sideboard, so I'll kind of go over my thoughts on it. We are a Kahira deck because everything we play is either cats or elementals, so kind of nice little thing there. We were running 2 Sunspine links in the sideboard. My guess is this is for like the food decks, or for like to help you against like Lotus Field, being able just to deal damage to them because they play a bunch of non-basics, things like that. It didn't come up in any games I played though, so it didn't really matter to me so much. Same thing with the Sandra. I assume this was here for the control decks mostly. I didn't run into any control decks at all, so didn't really come in for me. Reckoner Bangbuster is also here for the mid-range grindy decks. There was one deck that I should have brought this in against, but I wasn't really too sure what they were doing. I was playing against this, it was a black-green, like a Lotus Field like type combo where it was setting up Scape Shift and things like that. And they went off game 1, but they didn't win, and so I was very confused on what they were doing. I thought maybe they messed up their combo in game 1. They were new to it, so I just kind of was just waiting, and then eventually I won that game. But then I should have brought in Reckoner Buster for game 2 and 3. I just didn't realize I was more focused on like their combo aspect of it. So if I realized it was more of a grindy matchup, I would have. So that was my bad. That was really the only spot I had to bring that card in. The Bounding Spring I brought in against almost all my aggro decks I was playing against. It was just another great 4-drop. Temporary lockdown here for the low to the ground decks. For sure, I played against Convoke, so it came in there. And then Rest in Peace and Flanker here for like the graveyard decks. Flanker's good against aggro decks too. If they want to board wipe you, you can play this at the end of their turn. Flash in, makes a big creature, things like that. I brought these in against, some combo decks I ran into. I played against the tree deck. I brought these in against the tree deck just because I had some dead cards. And then also brought them in against that land deck where I was able to blow them out in game 3 with the flanker, because they sacrifice all their lands. They go to Splendid Reclamation to bring all their lands back, and in response we flash in the flanker and exile the graveyard and definitely just shut them down hard. That being said, I did play 1 league, which I was able to 5-0. I played against Angels, which I 2-1'd. Game 1 was basically I locked them out with the combo, Possibility Storm, and High Noon. I don't know why that was so hard to remember. With Possibility Storm, High Noon, and then game 2 they were able to overrun me before I could get to my Sunfall, and then game 3 Sunfall just kind of shuts that deck down. Any mass removal kind of like just destroys Angels. So I was just able to continuously fight through all their little creatures and things like that. Then we played against Black Red Tree, game 1. We have a bunch of removal. Torso Tower is great against all their little creatures until we Sunfalled, and then eventually took over with just Caretaker's Talent and Fable and Infinite Value, basically. And then game 2 we were able to get rid of the graveyard and just kind of like watch them flounder. Pretty easy game as a whole, or match as a whole. Then we played against Mono Green. High Noon is huge against Mono Green. I was able to slam that on They were going first. I was saying that on turn 2, they had like the nut straw where they were gonna have like 6 mana on turn 2, and it just didn't matter because they couldn't combo into a bunch of things. They were very limited until they could finally do something, and then I was able to eventually just get an edge on them where they had put out all their stuff, and I sunfalled them and just took over from there. Game 2 happened basically the same way. I think my opponents prematurely scooped both games. I think they had some more fight left in them. I think they could have done maybe a little bit more, but I will take the W's. Not going to complain. And then we played against Convoke, which I won 2-1. Convoke is a little bit challenging for this deck as a whole. Not so much in the sense of like it can't beat it, but Convoke can grind a lot more than you think it can. My game 3 was definitely a grind fest. Game 1, we slammed High Noon on turn 2, which completely slowed them down. They weren't able to Convoke on turn 2 like they wanted to, which let me buy enough time to slowly just like keep entering the board wipe them, get out the Bounding Spring, you know, make some tokens, make a 4/5 that's hard for them to kind of deal with. Wandering Emperor just slowly took over the game, playing one spell at a time, basically. High Noon was a hell of a card. Game 2, they were able to do the thing. They blew me out by killing my temporary lockdown, getting all their stuff back, and it's kind of like beat me down before I could find another answer. And then game 3, it was just a very big grind fest where I had High Noon on 2, which slowed them down a lot. It allowed me just to slowly kind of make sure I was in a position where I could take over or stay at parity with them, and then eventually their attacks didn't work out in their favor with removal spells I was holding up. Wandering Emperor was a hell of a card that game. Just kind of great as a whole there. And then when we beat the green-black land stack, like I said, I'm not really sure what they were trying to do. They tried to combo off game 1, failed, and then game 2 I was able to game 2 I lost because they turned into a more mid-range deck and just went the Sentinel of the Nameless City on 3 on 4, which is kind of hard for this deck to deal with because it's a Vigilance creature, so I need to have a removal spell for it. Wandering Emperor hasn't really helped with that. And then they went into Shieldred, and it was just kind of hard. Never found a board wipe, so didn't win. And then game 3, just kind of slowly grinding them out. Had that blowout with their Splendid, so that was kind of nice. But yeah, deck has felt really good against everything I've played against. Nothing really felt like it was out of range for what you can do. Definitely something I'm looking at taking to DC. I definitely want to make some changes, kind of tune up the list a little bit, maybe make it a little bit tighter, make it a little more better. I'm not sure there's a whole bunch I can change in the 60, the 70, or the 15. I would definitely change up some. I kind of want some different answers to different things. Just to shore up some more matchups that are weaker, essentially. But as always, guys, I am Randy. I am going to be bringing you all the hotness for the DC tournament coming up here. If you have any questions or anything you want to see me showcase or anything like that, leave a comment down below. And as always, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll catch you guys next time.